Hey bros, what's up? Welcome to the program. I'm way sexier now.
And you keep saying, but my kids need food!
Okay guys, before we get started here, we have been throwing around the word
pendejo
a lot lately, and I got a few messages about this, and I would like to apologize to the pendejex community.
Okay guys, you know what time it is.
Time to check in with one of our favorite YouTubers. He's the political lecturist. I believe he's a political science lecturist. It would be his title. The philosopher / political science accredited lecturist, Benjamin Shapiro. We will look at him and we will say, pendejo, to him today, which is something we like to do because it's what we call easy content.
The Democrats, the media, they are all revved up this week in preparation for Thursday, because Thursday, of course, is the one-year anniversary of the biggest event, the signal event in American history, January 6th, the worst thing that has ever happened in the history of the planet.
So, guys, we watch Ben pendejo videos all the time, and I gotta say, this one might be one of my favorites. Like, this one, right off the bat, we're gonna see something that you're gonna just...
You don't have to downplay the evils of January 6th in order to recognize that what January 6th was a really bad aberration. I mean, the imagery of January 6th was quite terrible. You had Americans who were storming the Capitol building. You had people beating up police officers with poles. You had a woman who was shot to death while trying to break through a window to get to Congress people. You had people in the halls of the Capitol baying for Mike Pence. And none of that is good. All of that is really bad. And a lot of those folks were acting because they were emotionally revved up by President Trump's prevarications over the prior 2 months about how the election was stolen, it was all election fraud, how he was the rightful president, how Mike Pence could somehow illegally shift the votes in the election or not count votes in the election.
Oh, yeah. I mean, these poor...
perverts.
He's like, yeah, they were all revved up. They were all revved up by this guy Trump. Man, he really got these people. These poor bastards. He really got them all revved up. Thank God. Benny Shapiro. Thank God he had no part in that, right? Right, guys?
So if you missed it last week, there was this shocking video. It appeared from Fulton County, Georgia. It appeared to show ballot workers taking boxes of previously uncounted ballots out from beneath the table and then counting them after the room had been cleared of election observers. The voice narrating that video was Jackie Deason, lawyer and host of the Jackie Daily Show. Jackie joins us today to talk about that tape and, more importantly, the most damning claims in the election fraud lawsuit currently happening in Georgia right now.
They don't want to have to own that Georgians' votes, the Georgian election might have been stolen.
There are a lot of rumors out there right now regarding the possibility of voter irregularities and voter fraud. This is exacerbated by the fact that the Trump team is filing some fairly well-predicated lawsuits, apparently. There's one lawsuit in Pennsylvania that they...
Fairly well-predicated lawsuits.
It was all Trump. I had nothing to do with it. I had nothing to do with any of that. That guy Trump, he's a bad guy. I was saying that from the beginning. Maybe it's time to bootstrap up, be a grown-up, take a little responsibility. You contributed, well, with this crap to 4 clicks, and for this. This thing that you're saying is terrible and got people killed. So, time to take some what we call personal responsibility. It's time for this guy to look in the mirror and say, pendejo. Pendejo. Okay, so this is great. We start with this.
I mean, the imagery of January 6th was quite terrible. You had Americans who were storming the Capitol building. You had people beating up police officers with poles.
I like how he says the imagery. What a what a scumbag. Like, honestly, the imagery of this thing, bad. This is his whole channel now. Tricking the people he wants to trick, but like not getting in trouble. I want to get this. I want to fleece these poor unfortunate souls, but then I get trouble, though. So we start with that. He's like, it's terrible. This imagery was terrible. Terrible. People getting killed. This is like seconds later.
January 6th, the riot at the Capitol building, that was really not even quite unprecedented.
That's pretty good. When somebody makes that, like, they kind of go to the side, like, they're like, it's really... You'll never see this. Yeah, my wife was murdered, but, if there's any kind of solid, definite lesson from the January 6th thing, those people wandering around, goofing around in the Capitol, getting killed. Getting killed, too. People just kind of, their brains being rotted by this content is, it's kind of the logical conclusion, I guess. Because these people who make this content...
It means these people are perverts.
Thank you. I love that, though. This is the balancing act that he has to do. He's like, I don't want to get in trouble. Legally, yeah, this is wrong. This was wrong. But because I want to keep fleecing you guys who watch this stuff and keep encouraging you to get yourselves killed. But also, I don't want to get in trouble. Like, that's what his show should be called. I want to fleece you, rubes. I don't want to get in trouble. Starring Ben Shapiro.
The left can't use the fact there was $5 billion in uninsured property damage, probably, that was done during summer 2020 over the George Floyd protests/riots.
Well, that's an interesting one. We can examine that. Well, there's probably a little bit of a difference between, like, somebody being killed by the police on camera and then people being outraged about that, and people who you and people like you convinced that the election was stolen and that they should go and get themselves in trouble. Also, on that note, I think you should quit this, Ben. I think that you are wasting your life, and you need to. I think you should, because he does these videos with what's that guy named Jordy Peterstone. He does those videos. I think he should ask Jordy, what should I actually be? How can I actually contribute something not destructive?
We'll get to more on this in just 1 second. First, even though you are far from ordinary, the truth is that erectile dysfunction is pretty common. In fact, 52% of guys aged 40 to 70 experience some form of ED over the course of that time. Go to getroman.com/Ben right now. Speak to a U.S. licensed healthcare professional about ED. Get $15 off your first month of treatment. A lot of folks who have ED tend to ignore. In fact, we have to curb all of the traditional institutions of American democracy in order to save American democracy, according to Professor Jedediah Britton-Purdy, a professor of constitutional law at Columbia. He has a piece in the New York Times called "The Republican Party is Succeeding Because We Are Not a True Democracy." Oh, so when you win, it's a democracy, and when you lose, it's not a true democracy. I kind of see how this is working.
I may just never come back.
I would love to see Ben Shapiro start doing the Alex Jones thing. My new favorite thing that a broadcaster does, which is, I'm out here. I'm never coming back. This is it. This is my last show. I just want to not do this anymore. That's my dream. Audience, I just don't want to walk out of here and then just walk into the ocean. The last thing they see is a little glimmer of the sea as I disappear into the middle distance. I would love to see Ben Shapiro start doing that. I'm going to rage quit. I'm done with this. But, okay, so anyway, he brings up this article from the New York Times where this, law professor is talking about basically that she's kind of like making the case that we don't really have a democracy because of the way that elections go. And that the president has not won the popular vote in a long time, and so on, etc. And Ben's response to this is amazing. Here we go.
At a basic level, today's Republican Party succeeds only because the Electoral College, the Senate, and the Supreme Court all tilt in its favor. That system has handed conservatives a 6-3 majority on the Supreme Court, despite the fact that only one Republican has won the presidential popular vote after 1988. A party doesn't have to persuade majorities it has the best vision for the country. It only has to persuade a selective minority that the other side is a mortal threat. Its grasp on power may be too tenuous for the party to govern effectively, but it has offered conservatives a fine perch to weaken economic and environmental regulation, appoint conservative judges, and launch attacks on the democratic system itself.
So this gets funnier, but why would he read this? I mean, there's not much of a case against this, that the entire electoral process is skewed toward a minority, Republicans.
Democratic system, says this professor of constitutional law. The Republican Party's extreme elements would have been sent packing long before they stormed the Capitol because they couldn't muster enough votes to win a national election. Instead, they have perfected minority rule as a path to political success. An anti-democratic system has bred an anti-democratic party. The remedy is to democratize our so-called democracy. Yes, pure majoritarianism. What the founders called mob rule will certainly make things much better. Because when the mob rules, nothing bad ever happens. when you have just a pure majority cramming down its opinions on the minority?
Pendejo.
So there you go. There's his response. This lady writes this article. I mean, people have been saying this for forever, where they're like, yeah, it's kind of skewed, this whole thing, right? Like, why do people keep winning elections who did not win the popular vote? That's a little weird. And he's just like, and Ben Shapiro's answer is just like, yeah, most people shouldn't win. Then he starts calling it mob rule. He's like, this is mob rule. This is mob rule. This is jaw rule. Well, what would the mob be in that case? The majority of Americans? The majority of the people in your country?
There's a mob. They're a mob. They're a disgusting, unwashed mob. They don't deserve to get the win. I do.
This story is just, it is so demonstrative of everything that the left has become. It truly is an amazing thing. So Patton Oswalt is a wild leftist crazy person.
I'm a bad guy.
He is a stand-up comic who is most famous for voicing the rat in Ratatouille. And he's still doing some stand-up kind of stuff. Again, everything that he does is wildly to the left, Patton Oswalt. So on New Year's Eve, he was doing a comedy club, and in the comedy club next door was Dave Chappelle.
This one's great because he's just kind of just completely like backwards misunderstanding like basic social interaction between humans in this one. So it's pretty great. But to start off, he's like Patton Oswalt is on the left. Patton Oswalt is basically like Lenin, basically. I mean, I don't see much of a difference. I love Patton Oswalt. I've seen Patton Oswalt live. He's, I would say, my best friend.
That I just have to describe for you for a moment. It is a picture of Patton Oswalt sitting in front of a yellow legal pad, his headphones plugged into his phone, staring at himself in the mirror, or at least looking down, and then the pictures of him in a mirror because he's really, he's doing some introspection. So the utter narcissism.
So I watched this whole video and listened to him read this entire long post. Guys, the long post, a lot of people do this. A lot of people do this. I see people doing this on, Facebook. I mean, maybe if you're a famous person, it makes sense to do this because people are kind of like hanging on some people, they're hanging on your every word.
One day I'll be like Patton, so I follow in every steps of him.
So maybe it makes sense for a famous person, but like, I see people doing this, just like, people who get an average of like 10 likes, 20 likes, and they're like, I need to write this deep, detailed thing to show how I'd be doing. I would like to discuss today on Instagram the events of 2/11, which is a day that I thought there was a sale at Michael's, the arts and crafts place, but there actually wasn't a sale. This will be a very long screed/thread. But anyway, Patton, one of the greatest comedians of all time, in my top 4 or 3 or something.
I'm a bad guy. A bad guy with a lot of deep vices, and I'm saying it out loud, and there it is, it's out, I've said it.
He basically says in this little long thing, he just says, I really like Dave Chappelle. I'm still going to be friends with Dave Chappelle. I'm sorry if this hurt your feelings that I hang out with Dave Chappelle sometimes. Later, them two met up with...
C.K. Louis.
Who?
C.K. Louis, the comedian.
Oh, okay. But he basically says, like, you can read it, and Ben Pepino reads it. You can listen to the beautiful tones of Ben Pepino reading it.
I saw Fred. I hadn't seen in a long time, New Year's Eve.
It's a very... There's no curveballs in this one. He's like, he's my friend. I'll keep being friends with him, but I disagree with him on the trans issues, and I hope he changes. And he's very smart, so I think he might. That's it. That's pretty much it. But Ben Pepino's warped social media mind goes to all kind of odd places with it.
And the only reason he's staying friends with Dave Chappelle is because he hopes that Dave Chappelle will one day come to embrace his own views. So this is not him saying, I can embrace a friend who disagrees with me on this issue. This is him saying the only reason I embrace this friend is because one day he will embrace my views on this issue, which, by the way, is the opposite of friendship.
Nowhere in that thing does he say, I'm only being friends with Dave Chappelle because I want to change him. He just made that part up, Ben Pepino. You know what would actually really strain my friendship if I were Patton? What would strain my friendship with old Dave Chappelle? Would be the kind of goat attitude. It's like, as I call it, the goat attitude and the Blue Note album covers. I get vibes of like, I'm the greatest. I'm the greatest of all time. I think we need to put things in perspective. And this little tweet here really can help us think about these kind of things. People who call fast food or retail workers low skill would absolutely die if they had to work a single Saturday night third shift at Waffle House. I always think of that tweet when people are like, I'm the greatest comedian of the... You're a very lucky person. You get to do comedy and to travel around again. Let's keep things in perspective. That's all I'm saying. You know, when we get into this, like, I'm the greatest, and okay, kiss my ass. Like, just remember, you got lucky, okay? Got very lucky. Let's keep it real.
Man, I hope that Dave Chappelle just wrecks him, because no one deserves it more than the rat man, Patton Oswalt. My goodness. I know what you're
I've seen a couple, like, right-wing social media stars. They're the Dave Chappelle Blue Note album covers of our time. A couple right-wing social media stars do this where they're like, rat, he's the Ratman. Patton Oswalt, a.k.a. the Ratman. I mean, first of all, that movie was wildly popular. So they're like, rat. He did the voice of an animated... The other thing is that they're all saying, like, this is their go-to joke. And again, these are the hard work, guys. We need hard work. They're all just defaulting to the same joke. Why don't you dig a little deeper? You know? Young adult, great movie with Patton Oswalt. I might actually rewatch that.
Got very important information for you to know that I might watch that movie again.
With Charlize Theron. She makes out with Patton Oswalt in there. You could say, you'll never make out with Charlize Theron again. Like, dig a little deeper. The Charlize Theron thing would hurt my feelings. You'll never make out with her. I would, that's way harsh, man.
Oh, that was way harsh.
Ben.
The irrepressible, unbelievably fresh, so face, magnificently stupid, Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez.
What a pervert.
She decamped from locked down New York City, where everybody is still masked, where they have vax mandates despite the fact that the vaccinated are still passing the disease. She decamped to Florida. And she was down here in Death Santis's hellscape, right down here in my state, vacationing with her boyfriend. Isn't that nice? Like, that's so nice. She left a locked down state that she helped create to come down here to my state, which she is constantly ripping on as a hellscape, Death Santis, burning, flaming Dante Seventh Circle.
This is another pretty funny one. This
Pendejo.
he's pretending to be mad at this lady, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. He's pretending to be really pissed off, and his pants are bulged with anger. His pants are foamed up.
I may just leave. I may just walk off this set and never come back. I can't do this anymore.
And then he's like, she went from the hellhole of New York City, which is locked down, to the open Florida. New York City is not locked down. Again, look up social media posts of people in New York City, or video or whatever, or even like news footage. I mean, people wear masks when they're around other people in line, which you should do. I mean, why not? But it's basically the exact same as Florida. Like, you could see that exact same picture that he's getting foamed about, that he's doing this.
That is my own sperm.
You could find that exact same picture from New York City. People outside. Outside some... I mean, people are eating outside in New York City. I don't know. Seems a bit manufactured, but I would not expect that from Benny Pepino. He's being honest to the Mimas and Peepas who watch this. and not encouraging them to hurt themselves.
She decamped down here so that she could vacation in the sun because she's a terrible person. Because she decamped here. And then when people pointed out, hey, AOC, it's weird because you're vacationing in the state that you keep talking about as being the worst, right? Ron DeSantis is going to get everybody killed and he doesn't care if people die. And yet here you are enjoying the sun and the fun with your boyfriend.
Okay, hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. Good job. So Ben Shapiro is a logic man, okay? He's so logical that he uses the software Logic to make his beats. That's a funny joke by me. Yeah, so if we were to make sense of this, this would, I guess the argument, whatever this is, would be something like, this lady, AOC, she thinks that the guy running Florida is a pendejo. Equals, she shouldn't go to that state. Seems to check out to me.
I have been asked 1,000 times over the past few years, why in the world are you in California? Like, why? Why would Daily Wire stay in California? I mean, this place has turned into a hellhole. All you do all day long on the show is just complain about how bad California has been. And the answer was that I've been in California literally my entire life, except for a 3-year stint when I was at Harvard Law School in Boston. Aside from that, I've spent my entire life in California. And I love this state. It's a beautiful state. It's a state with a lot of culture and a lot of fun to it. You know, it's a great place in terms of activities. You got the beach nearby. You got Disneyland.
Wait, I don't understand, though. How could you disagree with the people who are running a state, but some of the things there still be good? Based on what you were saying earlier. You see what I'm doing there? You see what I'm going for? Guys, I wanted to, you know what? I think it's important to admit when you made a mistake, okay? Somebody has vouched for this guy. You know, they vouched for this guy, Benny Pepino, and the person who vouched for him, who says he's cool, is undeniably reliable.
Well, please welcome my good friend who has appeared on the show before, the editor-in-chief of the Daily Wire, who is the author of several books, Ben Shapiro. You were drinking out of this water bottle today. You filled this up with vodka, didn't you? And it's still got some in it, a little bit. What are you hiding?
Well, guys, we've had a lot of fun today, and I think we've learned a few things. So, thank you so much for watching the program, and don't forget...
You're welcome.
No.
Corporate communism.
Hey, guys, you're only getting a fraction of the weekly shows. If you want a new motherfucking episode every day, subscribe on Patreon for as little as 2 bones. You get the patron-only Tuesday and Thursday shows, the Bookablega show where we look at important books, and the goddamn weekly behind-the-scenes show. And for only 25 bones, you could become a producer and get your name up here. Look at these people. These people make this show possible. If it wasn't for them, nothing. We don't have a show. We got nothing, and it's garbage. And we have to just leave. We have to just basically walk away. And we don't even really know where we're walking. That's the truly troubling part about all this. But please, become a patron today for as little as 2 bones, or 5 bones is another level, or 10, or you go the full 25 and you get up here. Big special thanks to these people. Love you guys. Love you guys so much.